Hi, I'm Sabrina Rodriguez.
Hi, my name is Samantha Rodriguez, and today I'm going to be informatively speaking to you on something that really touches my heart, and I've actually started research for at my home university of Charleston State in Stephenville. It's pretty exciting because it's taken me on this weird journey where I'm the only sophomore in this advanced research class where no other sophomores have been before. It's all second-year seniors and above, so it was pretty exciting for me, and it really challenged myself, and I finally got to pursue something at my own pace, which was kind of accelerated because it was a short time of a semester. But I really got to do something that I really care about, something that I know is going to directly impact my future if it should ever come to that, as affected my family in the past. And it's just really interesting to see where it's going to go, so I hope you guys enjoy. So the topic is unemployment and its various and contributing factors. Okay, so when we think of unemployment, I know what I thought of originally before I started this journey was that it kind of happened to people that you don't necessarily know, and it's usually for a reason that, oh, it's just the economy and all this other stuff, but there's so much information out there that kind of points in different directions, and in fact, a lot of things are interlocking, and a lot of things I wouldn't consider them to be the same thing. So, I forgot what the theory is called, but there is a theory that says that every single person has a place, and without them, doing their job, then society couldn't function as a whole. So if the janitor didn't do his cleaning duties, then maybe the guys that are running around taking papers to the copier, maybe they would become injured and then cause work to stop. And then work production couldn't happen higher up because nobody can sign the papers that they need to mail them out. And all these things, so at the end of the day, the CEO wouldn't be able to do the work that he's supposed to because the janitor wasn't able to do his job. Okay, so in that kind of way, we have a chain reaction or a domino effect of how society works. And that's kind of the same thing that we see in unemployment. Okay, so this is important to me personally because I noticed in my family, my grandparents, my mom's side of the family, they were doing really good. They had a solid job at I think it was a dog food place. And he worked there all of his life, her father did, and he was a very good employee. As they said, they thought he was going to be the next guy to get the promotion, and then all of a sudden there was all these mass layoffs. And the thing was, he was kind of like this grandfathered in position, right? That exists. It exists in the school systems for universities and like that. So you're kind of grandfathered in, but you're not given the job. You still have to earn it, and that's kind of the position he was at. And for some reason, all of a sudden, it was this dilemma that, well, we're sorry. It's not that you're too old. It's not that you're on this thing. It was kind of like they were clearing up that it wasn't going to be a legal matter. They just didn't want him anymore, which was incredibly unfortunate because that was the sole job that my grandparents had to depend on. And they also take care of one of their son's kids, and there's like 8 of them. So for them to be in custody of the kids and have to deal with that, it was kind of difficult. So these are kind of the sacrifices that they made. They would take McDonald's napkins, ketchup packets, all those kind of condiments so that they would have food that they could put on bread that they got. They had toilet paper. They would get the 2-ply from, say, some restaurant or something like that. They would take it out or wad it up as much as they could, and they would separate it to 1-ply tissue. And sometimes restaurant tissue can be a little bit thin, depending on where you go. Also, they had an intake of a lot of kids, and they have no source of income. And there's no way that they can send it back to the family because they know it's kind of an environment where there's a lot of drugs and all that kind of bad influences, right? So a lot of us, when we think this happens to people that are far away, and when it happens, you kind of feel like you're going to have a backup plan because it's not going to happen, right? And that's what happens to a lot of people. And that's not what it is. And now I'm thankful to say that my family kind of has a better position that they live in, and my grandparents are actually working. My grandma's lost 75 pounds now that she's actually moving, and she's not as depressed as she used to be. Okay, so one of the studies done by Aldrich R., I'm not sure what his last name was, he kind of noted that people try to do what it takes to make ends meet instead of what is necessary for a good and healthy survival and a sustained living, right? So basically, like how my grandparents were doing, they were using 1-ply tissue. I don't know how much that's cleaning, but they probably weren't using very much of it either because they don't know when the next source of basic things like toilet paper and water and food and like that kind of thing. So you really do see people are making sacrifices in their health just so that they can stay alive and stay afloat. Also, there was another study done, and this is another perspective that a lot of people don't consider, is whether suicide trends actually are reflexive of the unemployment rates in the U.S. Okay, so this was a 1996 and 2005 study, and it kind of looked at all people affected directly or indirectly by unemployment. So directly would be the person actually losing the job, so maybe the head of the household, and then the indirect people would be the children, or maybe like the school programs that the children are a part of. Okay, so you have to make that domino effect or that chain reaction type connection. So if the head of the household no longer has the money or the funds to provide their student or their kid with school supplies, then maybe they're not performing academically as well as they used to. And maybe if they're not in that school program because they can't afford to even attend classes, then maybe that program is getting cut, and that's affecting other students that are also in those kind of programs that kind of help students kind of take off the load. Maybe if that was their safe place, they don't have that anymore, and now they're stuck at home with somebody who might become abusive. They might pick up addictive behaviors, that kind of thing, because there's a lot of psychological aspects done with unemployment. Also, for work expectations, there was also another study done. I can't remember exactly by who, but it's in my literature review if you guys want to look at that. They questioned whether knowing and having an understanding that you might have become unemployed better your chances to recover from a situation such as unemployment. And what it showed is that if you do consider the fact that you might become unemployed, you're more prepared to take the steps necessary to get out of that. When people were asked, do you think you're going to become unemployed? And then all of a sudden we had these mass layoffs, and they said, and their answer to the question was no, I don't believe I will be. And they become unemployed. You kind of don't know what to do with yourself because you're kind of lost because you have this high expectation of, I'm never going to lose this. That's kind of where my grandpa found himself, right? So it's very real, and it did prove that, yes, work expectations do, in fact, affect the way you come out of unemployment. And I think that's huge for a lot of people because if you don't think about something and you don't consider the possibilities, then you're not prepared to take that challenge on. And that's another thing. What I want to do in my own research, I'm about to wrap this up a little bit, is I want to develop a facility where people who are unemployed because of whatever reason, I'm still trying to work out the details, they can actually become re-employed or at least gain some knowledge of how those skills are transferable. Because the Bureau of Labor Statistics actually tells us that about 75% of the people who are unemployed have skills that are transferable to another profession. So if you're stranded, if you work in, say, agriculture, and your business, everything goes dry, nothing's moving for you, you still have those skills, you still have those business skills. So maybe you don't have, skills in the field that you thought you did, but if you come to the facility, you'll actually be able to find a place like, oh, I can actually work in some kind of business or marketing because I know what it sells. I know what sells to these kind of people or this population, and you can still find work in a different way. It may not always be what you want at first, but it definitely brings a steady income for you guys, and I think that's something that's really important. There kind of already exists something like this. It's called iRelaunch, and Carol Fisherman Cohen established it. I think it's something you guys should really check out. She had people that were, I know there was a mother of 7, huge family, and she stopped working, but she was an attorney at first. She was planning to be an attorney. She got her degrees and all that kind of stuff, and then she didn't work till almost 30 years later, and she actually got a job. So the relaunch program, basically, you have the skills, you just kind of refine them, and then you go back into the workforce. So if you ever find yourself in this situation, it's not the end of the world, and there are resources to help you, okay? Social workers, when I'm studying, feel free to find any of us, and we can definitely connect you with resources. Is that what we do, okay?